The man in the doorway struck a match and lit his cigar. The light showed a pale, square jawed face with keen eyes and a little white scar near his right eyebrow. His scarf pin was a large diamond oddly set. Now, this is the description about the man who was waiting for his friend at the doorway. Till now, he just had the cigar in his mouth, but now he lit the cigar. And when he lit the cigar, the light of it showed that he was a pale person with a square jawed face with keen eyes. And he had a little white scar near his right eyebrows. That means some mark was there near his eyebrow. And his scarf pin was a large diamond oddly set. Means the scarf pin which he had, it was having a diamond on it. That shows that that person was a rich person. 20 years ago tonight, said the man, I dined here at Big Joe Brady's with Jimmy Wells, my best chum and the finest chap in the world. He and I were raised here in New York just like two brothers together. I was 18 and Jimmy was 20. The next morning, I was to start for the West to make my fortune. You couldn't have dragged Jimmy out of New York. He thought it was the only place on earth. Well, we agreed that night that we would meet here again exactly 20 years from that date and time. No matter what our conditions might be or from what distance we might have to come. We figured that in 20 years, each of us ought to have our destiny worked out and our fortunes made whatever they were going to be. Now, here, 20 years ago, he says that this night, 20 years ago at this very night, I had dined, means he had a dinner with his friend whose name was Jimmy Wells. He was his best friend and the finest chap in the world. And he said that he and his friend Jimmy Wells had grown up together like brothers. And he says that he was 18 and Jimmy was 20 at that time. And then the next morning, he says that I was to start for the West to make my fortune. That means to make my future, to earn money, I had to go to the West. And I couldn't have dragged Jimmy. Jimmy was out of New York. He did not want to go. He wanted to be in the place where he was. So he remained there, and we agreed that though we are parting from each other, but after 20 years, at the same date and same time, whatever our conditions may be, we will meet at this place. And we thought and we told each other that by 20 years from now, we would have worked on our destiny and we would have made our fortune, whatever we had to do in life. It sounds pretty interesting, said the policeman. Rather a long time between meetings, though it seems to me. Haven't you heard from your friend since you left? Well, yes, for a time we corresponded, said the other. But after a year or two, we lost track of each other. You see, the West is pretty big proposition, and I kept hustling around over it pretty lively. But I know Jimmy will meet me here if he's alive, for he always was the truest, staunchest old chap in the world. He'll never forget I came 1,000 miles to stand in this door tonight, and it's worth it if my old partner turns up. Now, here he's saying that it's very interesting. It sounds pretty interesting. The policeman said, this to meet after a long gap of 20 years. And he says, did you hear from your friend any time? Were you in touch with your friend? The policeman asks. And he says that, yes, for 1 or 2 years we were in touch with each other, but after that I lost track. That means I was no more in touch with him. And you see, the West is it's a big place. I kept hustling around over it pretty lively, but I know Jimmy. He says, I know my friend will meet me. He is the truest and the staunchest old chap in the world. So he is not going to be disloyal to me. He will be definitely coming here to meet me, because I have come after a long 1,000 miles. I have come here to meet him tonight, and therefore I feel that my old partner will turn up today.